Most drummers are working way too hard and they still can't play what they hear in their head. I definitely was, until a single technique completely transformed my playing, making speed and power effortless and reliable while playing thousands of shows. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can use this simple approach to instantly transform your drumming forever. So for this technique, we're going to be learning some 3, 4, and 6 note phrases, but I'm literally going to start you off with the technique you need for note 1 before we work on the full sequence. More on that later. So what I want you to do is get ready to play, sticks on the pad, but put one stick down. We're just gonna focus on a single hand for now. Now, with you ready to play this note, we're gonna do something a little bit different than you might for a lot of normal notes. We're gonna go really slow, and I call this Tai Chi drumming. And trust me on this, when you work on your movements and technique at Tai Chi speeds, it really pays off. So from this position, I want you to bring your elbow out like so, and I want you to bring it out some more and keep bringing it up until your whole arm is up in the air. At this point, you want to check your grip. You want to make sure that all your back fingers are on the stick. You want to make sure that the gap is there in between your thumb and index finger. Your thumb is all the way on the stick, and that you're nice and loose and relaxed. This is the start and the full range of a molar whipping stroke that is going to allow you to play with tons of speed and power with almost no effort. But we got to do the full range first, which takes a little bit more. Once we're here, we're basically going to bring our arm back to playing position and play a note, but you got to do it really slow to get the order and sequence all really correct, or this won't work. So the elbow starts to come down first, and that's really crucial. So as the elbow comes down, you can see that I kind of am hanging here with my wrist dangling. Elbow continues to come down. At this point, bring your wrist back as your elbow continues to come in. So your stick is up in the air, and then the stick comes down, hits the drum after your elbow reaches your side. Now, if you're working on this at any point and you're finding that you have too much tension in your hands and your body, or you're finding that you can't get your elbows to do what you want them to do, then you need to go check out my free technique guide. I'll put the link down below for you, so go check that out. What's really important about this technique is that when you do this, the elbow is first before the note happens, and you're coming back to a resting position. So make sure that your resting position is not with your elbows out like this, which is going to introduce a lot more fatigue and tension throughout your body. You want to be totally dropped, and you can even practice that. Bring your elbow out, let it drop, out, drop it. Okay, and that's a little hint of something we're going to be doing later. So let's do the full range again. Elbow comes all the way up, and then you're dangling here. You check for the gap, you check that your back fingers are on the stick, and then very slowly, I want you to, this is really important, watch me do it first, and then you look down and watch yourself do it. Okay, so watch me. So that's the full sequence. I want you to do it, just pause the video and do it yourself good 5 or 10 times, really slow before we keep going. So after that, we're gonna do the same thing, but just do it a little bit faster. So you wanna gradually work up the speed. So this is already faster, but it's slow motion. You're actually not going to be playing this way, right? One important factor is that when we do get this up to speed, you're not going to bring your hand back. It's going to whip back by itself. So when you're going slow, you actually literally have to bring the stick back in this motion to create this wave-like thing happening with your arm, right? But when you're playing fast, you're literally going to whip it, and your hand's just going to be limp and floppy, like your wrist. And that's going to whip back and create all the speed and power and volume that you want. So when I'm doing this, it's so easy to do. Let me go from a little bit of a slower speed to the actual whip. It's so easy to play these loud notes because all I'm really doing without a stick, just flopping my hand like that. That's literally all it takes. And if you can flop your hand on your leg or on a table like this, you're driving it with your elbow, and all you're basically doing is this much work. It's pretty fantastic because it means you can play strong and loud all over the drums. You can drive a full band. You can play a huge show for 2 hours straight and not get tired because you're mostly just doing this. So I want your goal to become, I want this for you. I want you to become the laziest drummer possible when it comes to physical effort. You should be striving to make it so that every note you play, you're using the least amount of effort necessary to execute that note. So after you've gone from really slow to faster, and we're still keeping it pretty big, you're going to start to feel that whipping stroke, which is the accent note of the whole like molar sequence. Then you want to make sure that the range of motion you're putting your arm through gets a little bit smaller. So we're going to start to minimize this range of motion. Super crucial you do it big first so that it's all there for you, big and small, because the small movements are contained within that. But realistically, when you're actually playing this, you're going to be playing a lot smaller in terms of what the strokes that you're playing. When I'm playing around the kit, it's usually somewhere around here. Not doing a ton of elbow out and in, just a little bit. So it comes out here and then it starts to come down. And the rest kind of just follows through and flops through like that. Really, it's super useful to just do this without a stick too. You can really feel how you can flop your hand around. I really recommend you do that. And once you're doing this, you're in business. Now, there's a number of ways you can go from here, but let's talk about the 3-note sequence. There's 2 different techniques you can use for this 3-note sequence. We're going to talk about the wrist strokes first and the finger stroke version later. I'm going to show you what you need. So for the wrist strokes, here's the trick. After you play the 1 whipping stroke, I'm going to play 2 taps. Just wrist taps. That's it. Simple as that. Whipping stroke, tap, tap. And let's do it a little bit slower. Whip and tap and tap and. Okay. Once we're in that place, I want you to then, this is really cool, start bringing your elbow out during the 2 taps. Check this out. Okay, so now I'm already in position for another whipping stroke. I've already lifted up during the tap strokes. Okay. Now, the way to practice this sequence is I would do a 4-beat sequence with a rest. That's the next step, which means whip, tap, tap, rest, like so. Whip, tap, tap, rest, whip, tap, tap, rest. And one thing you want to watch out for is that you don't do tap, tap, and move your elbow out in stages. You want it to move smoothly out because that's what's actually going to be happening. You need to be able to tap while your elbow is lifting up and it not mess with your timing, or your timing doesn't mess with your elbow. So whip, tap, tap with that lift that's kind of halted like that. Try to avoid that. You want to look down and fix this. Make sure it's happening correctly. Make sure that's smooth like this. Okay. You can even practice just doing a whole bunch of taps and bring your elbow out and in, just to feel that they can start to become more independent, right? So we have whip, tap, tap, rest. And the next thing about this is to practice this a whole bunch. Rest and whip, tap, tap, rest and whip. Now the important thing here, another mistake to look out for, and whip, tap, tap, is that your elbow doesn't come down at the same time as your stick. Like that. You don't want to be like scooping ice cream. I don't know why I always think of that analogy, but that's what I see when I see people do this and the stroke comes down together. It looks like someone's scooping ice cream. So you want to make sure the elbow drops first, and it's almost like a chicken dance kind of thing. So drop that elbow, and the rest follows through afterwards. And the timing that starts to feel like, and this is not precise because we're not actually putting the elbow movement strictly in time, but if I had to, I'd think of it as happening on the and before the accent, the and before the 1 in this case. So 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So elbow happens before. So I like to do it like slightly faster. Check this out and then do it with me when you're ready. I'll say in instead of and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in 1, 2, 3, 4 in 1, 2, 3, 4 in 1, like so. When you have that, here's the next step. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4 in 1, 2, 3, 4 in 1. Now watch what we're going to do next. 3 and 1, 2, 3 in 1, 2, 3 in 1. So we're no longer having that rest on 4, and it becomes a continuous sequence of notes. 1, 2, 3, 1. And this is our first sequence, 3 notes. We have a couple more to do. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in 1, 2, 3, 1. And then what you can do is start to feel that momentum. If we go a little bit faster, check this out. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can look and see that my hands just kind of whipping, flopping, has this wave motion that's really being put there by the elbow coming in. That's what drives the whole thing. That's really the only considerable effort that I'm putting in, and that's pretty minimal. A little bit faster, check this out. Now we can really see that the hand's flopping around and getting whipped. That flopping. So here's our 3-note sequence. This is a 3-note molar sequence. And I want you to practice just this a whole bunch. Make sure you also work on your opposite hand. Do that really slow, all the steps we talked about before. It's good to practice both hands together. Once you've done both individually, a little extra challenge for you is like, can you do both hands together without flaming? Our 4-note sequence is adding one more tap. So whip, tap, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're back to 4 beats, but we're actually tapping all 4. 2, 3, 4 in 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a lot harder to keep up at speed with the 4 notes. Make sure you work on the 3-note version a lot first so you really understand it and get it, because that can be a lot more intuitive to get to flow at first. And then from there, you just want to start using this all around the kit. So like whenever you go to play an accent, if you're playing a phrase where the accent's on the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, you can see how I prepped beforehand to play that accent. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. See how the elbows started to come out like near the end before the accent? No, I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking about a loud note and my elbows taking care of itself. And that's the point where you want to get to, where wherever you want to throw a note in, you start to go, and then you start to whip it, right? I want to know from you guys, where do you see this being most useful on the drums? Do you see it like helping you with your rudiments? Do you see it helping you with speed, with your grooves? Let me know down below. The next sequence I want to show you guys, 6 notes long, but we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to just fill in with the opposite hand. So you're going to do this 3-note sequence, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right, 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 right. We're going to turn that into singles and just tap the left hand, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. And then I'm going to have one more version that I'm going to show you after this. So if I just move my left hand to another drum, you can see the molar technique is still happening, that 3-note molar sequence with my right hand. And I'm just doing wrist taps with the opposite hand. And this is how you're going to get really fast playing all over the kit. Singles, other rudiments. It helps a ton getting accents to come out of other rudiments. So now, before I give you this next variation, you want to make sure that you're practicing this technique with both hands all over the drums in so many different scenarios. So anytime I'm going to play a groove and I'm playing backbeats on the snare, I'm doing this, even just a little bit. Even just a little bit, you can whip your stick so high and so strong with almost no effort. I don't want to hit the mic, but you can crack rim shots crazy strong, and you can just do it all night long because you're not playing down into the drum and you're being really relaxed about it. So you want to make sure that you're exploring how to use this around the kit. Play like your crashes, your tom accents this way as well. So this next sequence, we're going to take the 6-note sequence like before, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we're going to start kind of trading accents back and forth. It looks like this. Check this out. So what's going on here is I'm playing the molar whip 3-note sequence with both hands, but at different times. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and this. I don't like counting it in 1 and 2 and 3 and. I'd rather count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the molar whip and the accent happens in different places. So the important thing to keep in mind is that when I'm playing 1, 1, 1, now I'm going to flip to the right hand on my leg and my left hand on the pad. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what's happening is on 4, that's when my left hand accents, which means it's coming out with the left hand taps before that, which are on 6 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lifting, 4, 5, 6. 1, like that. So you're doing the molar sequence with different limbs at different times. It's going to be a segue for you to be able to play these accents all over the place no matter where you are. If you're playing accent phrases in 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a E and a E and a E and a, that sort of thing, well, you can start to get that molar lift happening with all those different sequences. 1 E. So you'll actually see if you watch, and I'm going to minimize this. I minimize this all the time. Watch my wrist. How accents with my right and left hand, they start with like this little bit of lifting. So that's going on all the time. It makes it really fluid no matter what you're doing all around the drums. Don't forget, you need to make sure that your grip is correct first and you're not having any mistakes there, because then if grip isn't right, then the sticks are not going to be in control. They're going to flop all around and this whole thing's for nothing. So make sure that you go watch my free technique guide. I'll put the link below for you. And the other version of this technique involves fingers, not wrists. So you can see I'm using my fingers behind instead of all wrist strokes. But in order to get that comfortable, you need to work on your double technique and how to combine wrist and finger technique properly, or else that's not going to work. So in order to do that, watch this video. We're going to show you all the steps you need to master it.